In this video, I would like to explain to you three things. Number one will be the explain in detail what are the 5 elements of the abstract, which is we've learned in the previous video, which is background. And the second one is a purpose. Third one is methodology. And fourth one is a result. Last one is a conclusion. And then next, I'll share with you the abstract from the established publication, from published application. So here you can see how, among the publisher, they have a certain way of putting down the abstract content in the paper. The third one will be we'll take a look at the abstract from student project. Normally, a student project, the length of the project is very short. So they have to come up with a simple finding, or maybe they've gone into the literature and find out what is in there regarding their topic, or maybe they formulate the questionnaire and then try to get the answer or how to reach the purpose of the study. And normally this student project is a short project, normally simple, in which they don't have much of the parameter to explain in a report. The first one in the abstract is background. Background basically tells you, direct the reader of what is going on. Okay, we try to tell the reader what is going on as far as the title of our research or the project that we are reporting. And then in the background also, we tell what are the motivation we do the research. And then, for example, if you want to find out about the crime in Malaysia, so we want to find out what's happening as far as this research in terms of background in Malaysia. So we want to know whether the crime for certain part of the society, maybe white collar workers or blue collar workers, maybe crime in the administration, or maybe we want to know, we want to compare crime in the rural area and in the city and so on. So these are the background that we need to tell when we to write in the abstract. The second one is a purpose. So the purpose normally would be one sentence. Will be one sentence explanation in the abstract. So it should be the something that that show the readers that we have done the work. So let's say that the purpose of this project, or the purpose of this paper, let's say that we want to compare. So when we compare in the body of the research of the report, people may know which one is high, which one is low, or which one is good, which one is bad. So we have some sort of a comparison that we may show later in the body of the report. If we want to rate. Let's say that we rate the level of understanding. So it's quite hard to see or to gauge the understanding of a certain issue, of the uh, certain contact in the study and so on. So we have to have we have to show later in the report that how the participant understand about certain topic or certain text that we want to test for the study. So we might have some sort of a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Sometimes we have in the abstract, the student put like to investigate, right? With only this term being put in a purpose, we are, we are not really sure whether what are the things that to be investigated. And then much worse, sometimes student put to study, all right, to study. So this is actually it's not sufficient to portray the purpose of your research. If you put to study, because the whole thing, the whole process here to study. So the idea is, the question is, what is the output? What is the output of the study? So these are the things that should be very specific that you need to put in your abstract. The purpose it should be it will be something that's specific. So this one, like G, we want to classify, right? So here, the reader will expect that something that being put in terms of grade A, grade B, grade C, and so on. Right? So for this one, for H, to find out, we need to put what it is. We need to be specific of what we have to research in the study. The third one is the method. All right. So the method is how I've got my data. This is what I want to tell in the methodology, or how we proceed from point A to point B to explain how we get the data for our project. And then the fourth one is the result. This is very important that you put some figures, some fact, uh, or the numbers in the abstract to show that there are some results that you have achieved in your study. So later in the body of the report, the result should be in a graph, in a table, which is figures, and maybe sometime people put the flow chart. Right? So from your study, you see that how things are to be done. Maybe you want to compare how to do things using method A, or how to do things using method B. Or by comparing, by studying the method A and B, you put in a flow chart how these two approach are being used to solve the problem. So if you have something like this, in the conclusion, you may say that A is better than B, or B better than A, or maybe you want to say what is the good thing about A, or what is the good thing about B, and so on. Or maybe you find out that the way that the thing has been solved is about the same. So these are the things that reader want to see in the abstract. So if they're really interested in your finding, they'll go in the body of the research to find out what you have done in detail. So in the conclusion, we are to tell the reader that, after what we have gone through doing the research, these are the facts that we have got, and then normally it should be referred to the purpose of our project. So let me recap regarding the 5 elements, 5 elements in the abstract element. So the first one is a background. So it is that the reader, this is what is going on now. So it gave me the motivation of to do the research, and then this is my purpose. This is my purpose, and then I want to find out something about this issue. Let's say that we're talking about the crime, right? Talking about the crime, we want to know the professional, the professional. Let's say that the engineer, the lawyer, the architect, and then the accountant. So we want to find out, what types of crime that being committed by this profession and so on. So we set up in the purpose, maybe you want to classify, and or maybe we want to find out what are the factors that has got these people to get involved in the crime and so on, right? So this is the purpose. We want to tell something about this is what I want to find out. This is what I want to find out, and this one is very, very specific. Okay? And then the third one is, methodology. This is how I'm going to get my data. This is how I'm going to get my data. So you tell briefly in the abstract how you get the data. So in the abstract, normally the best thing you explain that in a 3 or 4 sentence. I think 3 is the better one. And then the result mention some facts, numbers, in terms of numbers. So in my field of study, facts normally is in decibel, in dB. Maybe if you study electrical engineering and so on, so how many volts, how many amp, how many ampere, right? And then maybe we're talking about power, right? How many watts? Let's say that how many watt has been saved, or maybe doing certain using certain design criteria, so you have lost certain amount of watt and so on. So this in the result, and then finally is a conclusion. You conclude what you find out with respect to the purpose of your research. The purpose of your research. So we have taken a look at the 5 elements of the in the abstract in terms of background, purpose, methodology, result, and conclusion. So next, we want to see how abstract look like from the established publication. So I'd like to show you the 2 examples here. How the abstract look like from the established publication. What does it mean by established publication? Established mean that, for example, this IEEE, right? IEEE, the maybe Journal Acoustical Society of America, and so on. Maybe some publication in mechanical engineering and so on. So they have a certain way of for you to write the abstract, and then they will figure out what is the font, what is the font size, whether it's a bold, whether it's italic, and so on. So it's very strict. If you want to get your paper published in those, publisher, with those publisher, you need to be very careful with the format that they set up for you. Now, let's take a look at these abstract in JASA. So this is the example of abstract from JASA, General Acoustical Society, South America. And this in JASA, the publication by Bradley and Sato. They're talking on the importance of early reflection for speech in room. All right. If you take a look at this abstract, the 5 elements are all there. All right. The first one is a background. Number 2 is the purpose. Number 3 is the method. Number 4 is the result. And number 5 is the conclusion. All right. However, if you take a look at the number and how this the item is presented, this paper doesn't follow the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But instead, it goes straight up to mention about the purpose of the paper, right? The purpose of the paper. So now they are to show the result based on the speech intelligibility test in the simulated sound field. Simulated sound field. Now, the purpose. Right. So if I'm looking for something that require real room, all right. So this is what we call simulated, right? Simulated, and then the versus real experiment. Or if I am looking for real experiment, I may skip this paper, right? But if you maybe if you're working on the signal processing or the method, how to digitize the data and so on, so this paper may be of interest to you, right? So the authors presented the purpose first for the abstract. And then after that, they go to the background. So they tell, what the background of the report is all about. Okay. And then the third one, they have gone straight up to tell about the result. The result. And then from this study, they find out that they can show you the response in the room with respect to the early reflection can increase the effective signal to the social, all right, can increase the effective signal to noise ratio to 9 dB, right? 9 dB, 9 dB is a lot. 9 dB is a lot, but you need to know that this is from the simulation, right? So if you are interested with the finding, how they do this, and then you can check the paper for further explanation. Right. So finally, they have concluded that the room acoustic computer model is used to demonstrate the relative importance of early reflection can be influenced by room acoustic design. So here, what they've done basically is in terms of the simulation. In terms of simulation. So if you are looking for the small room, for the real room, maybe this paper will give you some idea how they did that, and then maybe you can explore that. You can how you can apply that this finding into the real room, and maybe you want to compare that and so on. For the second example, here is the abstract from Journal of Clinical Epidemiology. And then it's written by Orton Becher, Heather, Kenneth, Tosh, and Austin. So we have here five authors here, five authors, and then um, yeah, so we have five authors that author this publication, right? And then if you check the content of the abstract, the five element. So it goes first with the background and objective, right? So it doesn't say the purpose, but instead it said what is the objective of the paper, and then it goes to the third one. So this one number one, this is number two, and then this number three, method. So how they review two journal on the multivariable logistic regression. They have gone through 99 article from Journal of Clinical Epidemiology. All right, so 99 article. See, so they have a credential to report the report with this huge amount of the article they have checked. So the result, they define the result here, and then how this from 99 article, how the journal using the multivariable logistic regression. Okay. And then how they use the multivariable logistic regression, but they didn't report the recommended assumption. So here's the result in here. And for those who are interested in this, they have already have some idea of what the author have found out before they go into the body of the paper in detail. Finally, here's number 4. Finally, conclusion. For the conclusion, they conclude that the article reviewed frequently did not report commonly recommended assumption for using multivariable logistic regression. So that's what they have found out. If you take a look at closely, so their conclusion that they said that the article reviewed frequently did not report, right? Did not report. Now that's what they conclude. So when we take a look at the conclusion, we want to see whether they answer the purpose. So here, if you take a look at the purpose is to examine if commonly, they want to know if, right? If commonly recommended assumption for multivariable logistic regressions are addressed in two major epidemiological journals. So this paper has done a good job to set up the purpose, and then to set up the method, how to achieve the purpose, and then they have reported the result, and finally they conclude that article reviewed frequently did not report. So frequently, so here we don't have the number, isn't it? So if you want to check the number, you can go to the result and see that how frequent, what percentage, what is the ratio, and so on. So this is a very good example of abstract from the JASA, Journal of Acoustical Society of America, and Journal of Clinical Epidemiology. So now, for the third part, we're going to take a look at the abstract from student project. Like I mentioned to you, student project is a kind of short and then simple one. Maybe they don't have that much of the data due to the constraint of the time to do the simple project. So for the abstract from student project, I'll share with you three abstract. Okay, three abstract from the student project. Okay, so for the first abstract, we abstract number one. So if you read from the title of the project, the student wants to know the reason people do not wear helmet. That's the purpose of that. Why? You want to know what are the reason people do not wear helmet. Well, in fact, it is mandatory for you to wear helmet. Okay, so here's the background, all right? The background. Mhm. So why it is important to wear helmet, and then what happened if you don't wear helmet, and then uh, accident happen and so on. So the student put the background here. Then they go on to the second one and then find out they put the purpose. All right, the purpose here. The purpose here is to investigate reason the student do not wear helmet when riding motorcycle. Then here's the method. This method, basically, they went to the student union building, and then the cafe is there, and then they asked 20 students, 20 students that they have come across, and then was coming to the cafe without the helmet. And then the first one, they've got the result. Here's the result. Okay, the result. Okay, from 20 students that they met, they find out that 70% of the respondents were riding motorcycle without a helmet. It's a lot, you know. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 doesn't wear helmet. So what's the problem? What's the problem, right? So they want to know the reason why you guys don't wear helmet. And then the main reason for not wearing helmet for male is haste. Okay, male student always haste. We always want to reach the destination as fast as we can and so on. Okay, everything is haste, fast, and so on. So sometimes wearing helmet is not convenient. Or maybe if you're rushing, you forget about the helmet. All right, so because of haste. But for the women, it's quite interesting. Huh? For the women, it's because of the inconvenience. All right, so it may helmet may spoil your hair and so on, or your scarf and so on. This is what been found out by the student from this simple, simple project. The second abstract is on direct selling. All right, so direct selling among students, right? So direct selling is an alternative way of business that has attracted everyone, regardless of their age or background, to involve actively in this kinds of business. Okay, direct selling. So you don't have the to spend a lot of time on setting up the business. The business is there. You just have to find a customer. So what about direct selling? So the purpose of this study is to evaluate direct selling services among FKE students and to investigate. All right. So for this project, they have two purposes. They have two purposes. One, they want to know the causes. All right. They want to know the causes, and then they want to investigate the effects. All right, so they have two purposes here. They have two purposes. One, to find the causes. Why the student get involved in direct selling? Well, in fact, they have what we call constraint on time for the study. So they still get involved in direct selling. And then once they get involved, what are the effects? Now, they use a questionnaire, and they ask the student who were involved in this activity, direct selling, and then that's what they did for their method. So the background here, and then here's the purpose, and then here's the method. So their method, they use a questionnaire. They use a questionnaire. So they identify who involved in the direct selling business, and then they give the question for them to answer. And also they interview the person. They interview the person. And then for this group, they mentioned that they have the data in the graph, table, and figures, but they didn't tell you what is happening from the student who were involved in the direct selling. All right, so here is the result. The result is mentioned in data and a graph and also figures. But it doesn't give you the number. It is good if you give the number, some percentage, some inclination, certain sort of facts and numbers will do. Numbers should be better. And then finally, they conclude about this. Conclude about direct selling. Right. So also this in this paper, the conclusion doesn't really mention about the purpose, but instead the the author mentioned that there are some advantages and difficulty in direct selling. So we expect that they they will mention that in the body of the report. And then the third one is the abstract on the definition and factor affecting accident and risk. Okay, according to Frederman, we have three types of accident. Three types of accident, which is we call engineered, okay, procedural, and also systemic. Right? From Frederman, we have three types of accident. So the student select what happened in the plane crash. Plane crash, right? So they identify cause of this accident from the accident that happened. Says on the road, plane crash, factory, and other accident. And then they mention to you that they only concentrate on the plane crash, plane crash accident. So they gathered the article on the plane crash or plane accident that involve aeroplane, and then they come up with the number. Right? So from the result, they presented in the body of the language. Also, this paper also didn't they didn't put the number. They didn't put the what is percentage and so on. Maybe the ratio, why it happened. Right? Maybe a long distance or a short distance aeroplane travel that contribute to this accident. All right. And then from three types of accident, engineered, procedural, and systemic, we find out that the procedural accident is the most common from their study, from their case study, from articles and so on. From article, they find out that this procedural accident is the most common that happen or the causes of a plane crash accident. So we have take a look at the abstract from a student project. So 3 abstracts are all together. And then from the abstract that we find out, on the one, here we have abstract number 1, abstract number 2, and abstract number 3. Now, from abstract number 2 and number 3, know the numbers, okay, percentage or ratio or facts, or fact on the result. So, okay, the result. Okay. Out of so they have done well. 4 over 5 elements are good in the abstract number 2 and number 3 from the student project. So for abstract number 1, they've covered all. Right? 5 out of 5 elements are mentioned, very well in the abstract. Right? So let me recap. So for the conclusion, they answer the purpose that we put into in the abstract. And then from the conclusion, it goes to result. Result, they find out that 70% of the student didn't wear helmet. So this is the result. This is a number, percentage number, and so on. And then how they get the result? They interview this method, right? The method. Or they interview 20 respondent or participant in the project. And then finally, the first one that we need to always remember when we write the abstract, we need to put the background here, the background. So the background basically the motivation of the research. So for this student project, this simple student project, why they want to do this research? Because it come on the idea of helmet is important, or essential when you are riding motorbike, in order to protect yourself, especially your head. Okay? So that's how the 5 element in the abstract and the body of the report, and then why it is important, and then I've shown you how it is being arranged in the established publication as well as in the student project.